Hello and welcome to your weekly STFC fan chat from the Fools Rush In podcast. Different agenda this week, as we posted the question out there about picking your STFC Masters Football teams, and we've all got ours, and we've had a few sent in to discuss as well as the highs and lows of supporting a football team. And no, our keeper did not sky the decisive 24th penalty in a cup final. He was just, unfortunately, on the wrong end of a 2-1 defeat to Salford. However, we did also win since we last spoke. So we've got wins, we've got losses, we've got Masters football, we've got women's football, and we've got Bradford. Plenty for our panel tonight to get involved with. So let's say hello firstly to Craig. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, Sophie. How's you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. And fresh from his latest appearance, I should say, on just about any other podcast or vlog available, Ben has remembered his roots and he was able to turn up again tonight. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, well, Stephen. Very good, thanks. Very good.
Good. And there, working away in the background, is Christian as well to offer his opinion. How are you, buddy?
Hello, good evening.
Nice to have you with us again. Let's start, if we can, Ben, with the 5-0 win at Walsall. This time last week, we were, where are we now? Just about ready to kick off, not knowing what was going to come. And, well, what a performance and result that was. Seems a long time ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it was an unbelievable performance. We didn't see it coming, really, because the first 20, 25 minutes or so, we were under the cosh a little bit. I'd say we were the second best team. Walsall looked pretty much of a tidy outfit. But once we got the breakthrough, what a goal it was, but once we got the breakthrough, they sort of fell apart, really. And the second half, it had a sort of a Canio area absolute dominance about it, where it was just tricks and flicks and everything was coming off and we were going to score with every attack.
Champagne Olé football.
It was champagne football. We stopped scoring after 70 minutes because we made loads of subs. We kept going. We'd have got 8. Walsall were terrible. But the football itself, just unbelievable. Unbelievable football. Everyone had a decent game, apart from Gary. And it was solid. It was a great game. It was fast. It was free-flowing. Everyone wanted to get on the score sheet. So everyone was just getting into the box and just smelled blood and went for it. It was great. I haven't seen that so long. Didn't even see it under Wellens. So good.
And Craig, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because you were on last week, and we said that Walsall, of the 2 games last week, was the one we were arguably expecting to be tougher.
Yeah, of course, because of the new manager bounce, really. I'm not surprised that we won. I did put us down as a draw, but I'm not surprised we did beat them. But to that extent, I didn't see the game, but obviously we totally dominated. And like Ben was saying, it's been a long time since we've had not just a result like that, but a performance to match it. And it was good on, 3 clean sheets on the bounce. It was as well. Albeit against a team that's towards the bottom, but you can only beat who's in front of you, really. So yeah, it was a fantastic result. Not too much of a surprise to beat them, but I honestly thought out of the 2 with Walsall and Salford that would be the more trickier one. But obviously that just shows what I fucking know about football, really, as I'm sure we'll discuss shortly.
And on the flip side to my question to Craig there, Christian, we had said at various episodes in the not too distant past, at some point it's going to click and someone is going to get a hammer in, and it finally did happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great performance, wasn't it? It was just like the shackles were just totally off. Any sort of game plan where you take the lead and then you sit back and hold on to it and none of that, inevitably concede like we do. It just didn't happen. It was like just kept going at them, and we got our just rewards. That's not the way to play every game. Of course, some games you do need to take the lead and shut up shop, but I think Walsall weren't offering anything in resistance, so why not just keep going for it? The shackles were off. It was almost if we said, "Oh, go out and enjoy yourselves." But then I'm sure we'll move on to what's happened this week again.
No, absolutely. And as is often the way, the conversations we have both on the episodes and on our WhatsApp thread mirrors that of what's going on sort of on the wider STFC socials, if you will. And there was an at-length conversation going on, I know, between the merits of Davison again and how he differs from Simpson. I'll use the word differ. I don't like the direct comparison for two players, particularly on loan players who are trying to make a name for themselves. But there's this big sort of conversation going on now about which one's better and who suits what style of play better. And it was certainly it certainly brought that back into the public eye, didn't it, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's chalk and cheese. Davison didn't really play well when we go on to Saturday's game, but Tuesday one, he showed a little bit more experience that Simpson didn't have, and he got himself about a bit, and he was a bit more of a nuisance to what Simpson did then. Davison put in a performance what Simpson wants to be in a few years' time, or will be in a few years' time. But Saturday wasn't really anything at all, really. Shadow of what he was on the weekend, which is tired enough, but we'll cross the Saturday when we see it. But on Tuesday, his link-up play was brilliant. His support was brilliant. He had three hefty centre-backs in front of him in Mayonnaise, Daniels and Month. They were huge defenders. And he battered them off easy. He bullied them. And it's been a long time since we had a proper number 9 bully defenders, and that's what he did. So yeah, it's the best performance I've seen from a striking force, supporting striker for a long time.
Well, let's move on to Saturday then, Craig. And Woody has sent a couple of thoughts in. He was at the game like yourself, and he said, had a few siders before, so don't really remember too much about it. But from what he can recall, it was a bit of a buzzkill on the back of the previous few results. Neither side were very impressive, and maybe the less said, the better. Is that a fair reflection from where you were as well?
Yeah, I mean, probably it was a scrappy game. There wasn't sort of too many chances, really. One of the things that I did sort of see, it's been a long time since I've seen a full game from Swindon at home live, and one of the things that there was a positive from that was that we were playing more vertical passes, as we've been talking about before, the old continental long ball. It was early on in the beginning of the first half, there was some really good through balls put through to Harry McCurdy, which was good, but Salford just seemed to be really good at defending their 18-yard box. They came back, they made it difficult for us, they were compact. And we couldn't really do much in that final third. We were getting the ball forward, but once we got to that final third, we seemed to run out of ideas. But that's and Davison. Ben was saying that how strong he was, and he bullied 3 central defenders against Walsall. Well, it was like he couldn't stay on his feet. He was knocked down to the ground so easily against Salford. There was a couple of times where they were blatant fouls, but you just don't seem to get those decisions for you at this level. And he was pretty much bullied off the ball. And they did a good job on him. He was ineffective for us. But it was still, they didn't really offer too much threat. It was about even, I think, up until half time. And then when we got the goal, I was like thinking, yeah, we could go on and steal this and get 3 points. I thought, maybe a draw might be okay, acceptable. But then once McCurdy came off and then Barry, we just seemed to be toothless. It was worrying, really, that losing them two made such a difference. And then, it's a shame as well, because the last 3 games, we've kept 3 clean sheets. And then our defending, I thought at the end of the game, at the end of the game, I was thinking, how did we lose this? We deserved at least a draw. But then looking at the goals, the replay for the goals, Tomlinson lost his man for the first goal, and O'Brien lost his man for the second goal, a guy who's half his size, who headed it into the net. And that's just inexcusable. It's piss poor defending, which is a shame after, like I say, 3 clean sheets. And we did deserve to lose the game, I feel, on the back of it, because Salford took their chances and we didn't at the end of the day.
I saw you pretty much nodding along throughout that whole segment there, Ben. I'm guessing you agree?
Yeah, largely. So I think because we kept the same team for the last 3 games running, it's been Saturday, Tuesday. I think there might have been a little bit of fatigue on that performance, which be half excusable. I think Vassell, their defender, I think he was related to the referee somewhat. He just got away with butchering Davison over and over and just made him ineffectual. The stuff that he got away with was constant. I think the referee didn't hammer it down early and then just let it go, and Paul Blow couldn't get a decision in the end, and he just largely was ineffectual. And I think Barry and McCurdy were both a little bit off the pace because they may have just been a little bit tired. It was just slightly disjointed. It was a bit like the Swindon at the start of the season when we weren't doing anything at home and it was just a bit slow. And we get into good positions, but we weren't actually forcing the keeper into any decent saves, especially in the first half. I say they offered nothing at all. They had nearly scored in the first half, probably one of the biggest misses you'll ever see in your life. But halfway through, it was fairly fair. Second half, again, they didn't create that much. I thought after they made it 1-1, I thought they just settled for a point. They took their best player, Hunter, off, and I thought they managed to shit out a win with a set play, which I never thought was coming. The only shock of it really is we actually scored from a corner, which was rare. But yeah, McCurdy and Barry going off just completely in front of goal, that just killed anything that we got. And it's just one of them. It wasn't a terrible performance. It was just a bit off the pace. And I'm putting it down to being knackered. And as long as they pick it up on Saturday, then 3 wins and 4 is okay.
Well, on that subject, Christian, when you look at the little bit of a run we'd started to put together and then the negative result of the weekend, couple that with some of the other results elsewhere in the division, where do you see us now? Are we still in a relatively good position, or should we be looking up, or should we be worried about what's below us?
Yeah, we're still in an okay position, aren't we? I think we need to aim. I think, a bit of nosebleed territory the other day where I was thinking, well, yeah, maybe we could sneak in the top 3. And that was a bit silly. I don't think that's going to happen. We're probably about the 7th or 8th best club in the division. And that's based mainly on our away form. I know we've had a bit more luck at home recently, but our away form, throughout most of the season has carried us. And by and large, our home form's been really, really, really disappointing. We need to be in that end of season playoff lottery, I think, and that's what now our expectations as supporters should be, because we've had all this. Oh, we're lucky to have a club. Well, yeah, all right, that's all gone now. We know what we've got. We know what players we've got, and we know what we're capable of. And I think we need to be a team. As big as Swindon Town needs to at least be in that playoff zone and give ourselves a chance in the end of season lottery, because we are one of those teams that could get a really good club in the playoffs away from home and turn them over. That's just typical Swindon.
You mentioned at the beginning there that you think that we're about 7th or 8th best in the division and we need to be in the lottery. I did spot earlier, and I'm just loading it up now actually, there was a story come out in the Advertiser based on one of these vote panels they did that said that Swindon Town fans predict Ben Garner's men will suffer playoff heartbreak come the end of the season. So it seems like most are in agreement with you that the playoffs is the best we can achieve in a couple of months' time, but we don't necessarily, the belief isn't there that we'll go on and win the playoffs.
Yeah, but it's all about this away form though, Fifey, because we can just go out and get the most crazy results away from home when you really wouldn't give us a cat and owl's chance. We can go somewhere and win 3-0, 3-1 or whatever. It's a shame that we'd have, in the playoffs, we'd have to play a home leg, to be honest with you. And then Wembley, to us, it would be an away ground, wouldn't it? So it's not the county ground. What are these guys going to do playing on the Wembley surface? Are they going to be, like world beaters there as well? So you don't know. It is a lottery. Unfortunately, we've got to play one of the games at the county ground. But the other 2, who knows?
Okay.
What my worry is, Christian, is we had those 3 results against teams towards the bottom of the table, and we've done them well. They were good results, good performances. Comprehensive, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. You're a wordsmith, you are. Thanks for that.
It's that A-level English language I did at New College.
Right, I did it as well, but I didn't pass it. So there you go. That's why you're there, mate. At the same college as well, funnily enough. I'm worried that because obviously Salford was the first tough test that we've had in 4 games. We've lost games against teams that are in and around us, around the playoffs. We've played more games than most of the teams above us and below us as well. Now, I know they say it's better points on the board, but the table is probably not a fair reflection of where we're at the moment. After tonight's games, we'll probably have a better idea. But my concern is with some tough games coming up, like against Oldham, now Bradford with Hughes, and obviously Oldham with Sheridan. We've got some really tough games coming up, and this will definitely be the test to see where this team is. I think if we can pick up points over these next few games and get a couple of wins, then yeah, we'll be there in and around the playoff. We should make the playoffs, but I'm worried that when it comes up against a decent side who can give us a good game like Salford, we might end up struggling, and that's my worry. I think maybe the 3 wins, I hope I'm wrong, but the 3 wins against Scunthorpe, Carlisle and Warsaw may have just papered over the cracks.
I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from there, Craig. I do, but I'm loath to 100% agree. And the reason for that is, it makes sense to say that based on just losing to Salford the other day, and that still being fresh in the memory. However, it's worth noting that someone else on the panel no more than 5 minutes ago used phrases like they offered nothing and shit house to win. Okay. Now, we're not going to meet certain sides in the playoffs, obviously, but you think of what else we've been able to do against, if you want to use the word decent sides because of their current position. This is the same team that have beaten Forest Green at, when we never had a full strength team out. And, so that for every negative result against a team like that, there is also a result you can point to and say, well, actually, we are capable against better teams.
Yeah, but that was early on in the season, Fifey. Have we been recently? We were losing against teams like Tranmere and Port Vale.
Yeah, agreed.
Teams in and around us. So that is my concern. I'm judging it on sort of relatively recent form. You're right. On our day, we can beat anyone in this league. We should be up there, not far off Forest Green on paper. But as Christian was saying, because of our home form, we are where we deserve to be at the moment, and it's very open up there as well. So Salford could go on a run. Bristol Rovers have improved since we played them as well. There's a lot of teams. There's going to be a lot of competition.
They're on a bit of a run at the minute, I think.
Rovers are on a run.
There's a hell of a lot of competition for those for 5th, 6th and 7th place, I think, and it's going to be very, very tough. That's why these next few games are going to be key for us, I feel.
Well, we pointed to that last week's episode, didn't we, Ben, that after these couple of games, the next few are huge.
Yeah, well, Bradford away and Exeter, massive. Ideally, if we can get 4 points out, that'd be brilliant. Another team we didn't mention, Newport, who are currently beating Forest Green Rovers right now. They've got the best
Forest Green losing again?
Yeah, they're on a bit of a slide. Losing to Newport, which is no big team.
Do it every year. I think this year that Forest Green are doing it a bit later though, so they should have enough to carry themselves over the line. But they do this every single year. They go on a massive slump.
Yeah.
Northampton are also currently winning as well.
Northampton winning as well. So we need to be on it. We need to carry on the results. We need to hope. We have recently changed formation. We've got loads of new players in. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Craig might be very well right, and with this new setup, Swindon, it might struggle against bigger teams, but be more clinical. And be the opposite, the other way, where we're more clinical against the bottom teams, struggle against the bigger ones, whether it was the other way around before Christmas. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. We'll find out over the next 2, because obviously Bradford, Mark Hughes has had a good week with the players. They are going to get better. They are in a false position. They've been on a terrible run, and I think they'll give us a good game. And the sort of team we struggle against as well, though, because they're a big team.
Hang on, because again, I can't wholeheartedly agree with this. Now, there's this. Can you just clarify, when you say big team, do you mean big physically or big team because they're
physically?
Bradford?
Big team. But when they came to Swindon, they bullied us because they've got big players that kick the living shit out.
No, that's fine. Because I thought you meant big team because of Bradford, and I was going to.
I didn't mean like biggest club in the league and all that.
Because
no.
This is a myth and a nonsense that I'm fed up of hearing, because I understand why they think that way because of the history behind Bradford, but they've been in this league a while now.
I quite agree. I didn't
always
mean...
threatened promotion. That at best, and the fact that they've had to replace their manager suggests that they're an average club in an average league.
That was Derek Adams as well, who had good. He got Morecambe and Plymouth out of that league, so it just goes to show that with that club, it doesn't matter.
And listen, because I know a couple of people that are going to watch this are sort of Bradford-based that I know, and I don't mean this in any way insulting to Bradford, but they're not the massive club they think they are in this league.
I don't think they think they are. I don't think they. I don't know.
I think a certain percentage of their fan base think.
But that's the same for every club. It's like with our fans, and almost every club has that percentage. They've been in the bottom two divisions for a good while now. I think they know that, they're a big club as far as their history is concerned and their fan base, of course, but they've got no divine right to be out of League Two. No more than us.
I think it's more of a case of they've played in the Premier League as we have as Oldham have, and for that reason, I'd put us, Oldham, and Bradford on an even sort of level, to be honest with you. I think all three of us are ex-Premier League clubs. Bradford have got a bigger ground, but they sell their tickets a lot cheaper. So, us ex-Premier League clubs, I use that loosely because our season was disaster. Probably on about an even level.
Okay. Well, let's. Unless there's anything else on either of the two results since we last met up that anyone wants to discuss, I'm happy to move on to the next topic and a bit more sort of opinion and fantasy, if you will. Last week,
let's not get into Christian's fantasies.
No, can we not link fantasy and Christian together, especially when he's in bed?
Last week we set the challenge, and it's one that Christian in particular initially raised the point in our WhatsApp group. So there was the announcement of the return of Masters Football. So we all suggested that we would put together an STFC Masters team, and we published some rules. And we put out on Twitter as well, and we had a few submissions. So what I'll do, if it's all right with you guys, is we can go around and say who our squads of 8 are. Just a quick reminder of the rules as they were set was it was a squad of 8 in total. The players selected had to be between the ages of 35 and 60 to make it realistic that they could still feature. And they must have played 30 plus games for Swindon. Before I ask you for your teams, Craig, I'll come to you first. How difficult did you find picking a team? I know at one point you replied to my initial post on Facebook and said you've got 1 goalkeeper and 7 strikers.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard because obviously, like 6 aside, it's a lot different with positions wise and stuff like that. So hence why I had 7 strikers to begin with. But even then, with the goalkeeper, I was thinking I could probably get away with putting a striker in there. But it was difficult. But I'm just on a side note. I'm just glad that the Masters Football starting again. It probably won't be as good as what it was like the good old days, as me and Christian would say. But
we recognised the players then, didn't we? There'll be Masters Football. We thought going, hang on, I thought he was only 23.
Yeah. It was just great
players going, hang on, why is he not playing anymore?
it's just great seeing these players who are clearly past their sell-by date. Most of them were anyway, and obviously some of them had let themselves go a bit because they weren't professional footballers anymore and running around red puffed up faces and stuff like that. But it was also great just seeing like old favourites from teams from the 90s and stuff like that. It was really good, and I like the format that they did of it because they had it regional, didn't they? Before they had the big
regional
before the finals, they'd have a London Masters and Midlands and everything else. So I really liked it. It was something different. And
my understanding from reading up on it is they're doing a couple of trial things this year with a view to doing the original format next year with regional fixtures first before the big main one, sort of down near the O2, I imagine, somewhere like that.
Oh, it'd be good. I mean, it'd be good for the telly as well. I imagine that there'll be quite a few people would want to,
particularly because if I remember right, they used to do it during the sort of summer shutdown, if you will.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it just kept the football fixture going.
Yeah.
And thinking back then as well, we could have had a decent STFC team back out then, but obviously not now. But back then, you could have had good Mickey Hazard, John Moncur, and Mark Lincoln.
Well, some of these names may.
A lot of our players then we could have put out a six-a-side team with players who were playing for other teams. I mean, Manchester United's goalkeeper was Fraser Digby in the Masters. Digby played for Man United. A couple of our old, I think Mickey Hazard might have played for Spurs.
A few of at West Ham as well, from memory.
John Moncur started off at Spurs and then went to West Ham after he was with us. Yeah, it was. So many. So many that played at played for top level clubs. Yeah.
The hard Alan McDonald, I think, played for QPR in it. So we could have put a team, out ourselves. But I think the toughest thing about doing it was sitting there. You can put out a list of 8 players quite easily, and then you think, I wonder if his knees have gone. Like, is he? And, you know what I mean?
Well, how difficult did you find it, Christian, picking, because you had a much bigger pool of players than, say, I did, because I kept it that it had to be players I'd seen play as well. So you had a much wider pool of players to pick from.
Yeah, but like I just said, that was the toughest. The toughest thing was thinking, I've seen Duncan Shearer and Steve White play. But are they going to be any good in
the team now?
Are they going to be any good in the Masters team now? But that's the thing, Ben. It is Masters, so they might be real fit, and then you have to work out how old they actually are. I know he's about 63 now. He ain't going to be able to bloody play Masters. So, for that reason alone, I've not put Glenn Hoddle in it because Glenn Hoddle would probably be the best player you could ever wish for in it. But
he'd be in his 60s now, Hoddle, surely.
Yeah, I don't think he could keep up with it. So that was the toughest thing.
Sorry, carry on.
No, that's it, mate.
Oh, Ben, finally, how difficult did you find picking a final 8?
2 minutes.
Actually, I do seem to recall you messaged quite early and say, I've done it.
Yeah, I could know when you told me initially, it says I could probably tell you off the top of my head. But I've got my idea. Every single one of them played either in the 90s or the early noughties.
Okay.
Which was basically, in the early 90s, when I started watching them, they were an awesome team, and they'll still be. I've gone through. They might not be fit enough now. If Masters were tomorrow, I don't know what their fitness are like, but I think the team that I got would.
Funny, we don't get squad updates for players that left a decade ago.
No, but I think the team that I got would be a match for most teams.
Well, I've gone for not necessarily the best players I've seen during my time sporting, but I've gone for the players who I think are possibly better suited to six-a-side with their attributes. But if you like, we've had a couple of submissions, so I'm happy to read theirs out to inspire you before you do yours, if you will. And I'll start with our very own Ned, who's still hoping to potentially make it on this evening, but if not, he sent me his squad just in case. So his 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has done 8, but he has sent a 9th in case we veto one of his options. I'll leave it up to you. So his squad is Scott Cuthbert, Mark Marshall, Alan Connell, Rafa De Vita, Steve Mildenhall, Gerald Eiffel, Mark Walters, and then put in brackets token elderly man, and then put Simon Cox, turns 35 in April. So if that doesn't count, I'll go for Rory Fallon.
But if I can't have Glenn Hoddle, he can't have Simon Cox.
No, he can't have Simon.
I'd have Glenn Hoddle.
I
He'd
didn't
still
have
be better than
Coxie
all
for that
those
reason.
players.
See, I had Cox until I realised his agent took him out. So we're gonna veto Cox, and Ned can have Rory Fallon.
That's an odd squad, though.
Yeah.
Myself,
What's your initial? Go on, Ben. Build on that. What's your initial reaction to Ned's squad?
Scott
Mark
Cuthbert,
Marshall.
Mark Marshall, Scott Cuthbert, two current players. Neither were that good at Swindon, and neither have had a good career after leaving Swindon.
It's like the wish. It's like the wish version of Swindon Town Masters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blimey.
It's just like, yeah.
No, I don't.
There's a couple, all right. Mark Walters, I agree with. Well, Walters is quality.
Yeah, but would he be? I mean, he was 35 when he was playing for us, and that was like 20 odd years ago.
I think he's touch and go, but I think he's within it.
Oh no, he is within. He's under 60, but he's late 50s, isn't he?
Even at that age, they're two good feet, so good feet.
Sorry, Christian, you wanted to say something about Ned's team there as well?
Yeah, I was going to say about Jarrell Eiffel. I hope he don't watch this, but he plays on the pitch next to me every Monday night at Kingsdown and all that. So, and that's six-a-side. So I don't think I'd have Jarrell in there. Sorry, mate, if you watch this.
He's still a Supermarine.
No, he's not a Supermarine anymore. He plays six-a-side on a Monday night at Kingsdown, though.
Well, while you're engaged, Christian, let me read you a squad that was submitted by a friend of the show, Ocus Road. His 8: Phil Smith, Sam Parkin, Stefani Miglioranzi, Christian Roberts, Colin Calderwood, Charlie Henry, Nicky Summerby, Lee Peacock.
Charlie Henry.
I don't think you can stick Christian Roberts in there, could you? Because most of these things are held at these like indoor arenas that got bars, so he'd be pissed before the game started.
No, why?
Well, he got a testimonial out of it, didn't he? It's not bad for being on the P for 2 years. Summerby, yes. Phil Smith, I like that. Good reactions. Who else was in there?
Peacock?
No, bloody Peacock. He'd be in the bar with Roberts, wouldn't he? Tapping up the bird. Who else?
Say Parkin.
Yeah, Parkin was more of an in the air sort of striker, but I don't think his turn was that good. But yeah, why not? Yeah, Parkin wouldn't be a bad shout.
And the one that Craig instantly reacted to, Charlie Henry.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
How old is Charlie Henry?
I thought he's a big lad now, isn't he? I thought he's a big lad now. Or am I confused with another?
Got to be over 60, Charlie Henry, surely.
That's what I'd have thought. Yeah.
He's got to be over 60. He's an 80s player.
Hold on, I'll Google it.
Craig's Googling it. Right, Ben.
Normally that's Woody's job, isn't it? So.
Let me come to you with a squad submitted by the Parody Clem Morfuni account that sent us one in as well. I'm not entirely sure he was taking it as seriously as some with his submission, but let's see what you think to this. Bart Grimmink, David Duke, Sean Taylor, Andy Gurney, Darren Bullock, Bobby Howe, Ifianora, Giuliano Grazioli, Sam Parkin.
Bite your legs off Bullock.
Charlie Henry just turned 60 on the 13th of February.
Oh,
sorry.
Disqualified.
No, because we said up to 60 is allowed.
So 60's all right.
35 to 60.
Oh, he just sneaks in there. Oh, fucking hell.
Carry on, Ben.
Yeah, sorry, Ben.
David Duke. What
David
are your
Duke.
thoughts on David Duke's
David
inclusion?
Duke. He got a lot of stick, didn't he, back in the day when he was at Swindon? He was, yeah, he wasn't a very good winger.
That's polite.
No, he wasn't great, David Duke. He went off to Darlington after, didn't he? And they went up. Yeah.
Andy Gurney in six-a-side?
Gurney'd be all right six-a-side. Yeah, Gurney's a good player. Yeah, I liked him. Yeah, he typified Andy King's team. Andy King loved him.
Thoughts on Grimmink as the chosen goalkeeper?
Bart Grimmick, yeah, Swindon Stewart for quite a few years. I understand that. He's all right keeper. Bart, yeah, good player.
Okay, interesting. So who would like to do their team first? Ben?
I'll have a go. I'll crack on. Right, in goals, I've got pretty predictable, really. Old Fraser Digby. Superb keeper, great arms, great shot stopper. So I've got him in goal. My second one is Ian Culverhouse, the super sweeper in Culverhouse, quality player, probably one of the best defenders I've seen play for the club of all time. I loved him, absolutely loved Culverhouse.
Not disputing that, Ben, but do you need a sweeper in six-a-side?
No, but he could play centre back as well.
Okay.
He was just so comfortable on the ball, he could bring it out.
Carry on.
Next one would be Colin Coldwood. Super Colin Coldwood, Bridge. Comfort on the ball, quality defender, lovely.
Okay.
My midfielders, I've got Martin Ling, again, technically a really good player. Might a little lightweight, but it's all about skill and like pace of feet, quick feet, in the sixth side. John Monker had a bit of bite, good passer of the ball as well. He's in there as well, Johnny Monker. Who else did I pick?
Walters.
Mark Walters, Wally Walters, 2 good feet. They're great at set plays, good crosser of the ball, play either side, quality player. One of the best things is obviously play for the club.
It's almost as if you might have sent me this before doing it so you didn't forget.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers. Up front, now, one of these, Sam Parkin, I picked. Now, I get your point with he was good in the air and that. But one thing that I was just picking through the Twitter today, and they'll just at a QPR posted a game when we beat them like 20 years ago today or something like that. We beat them 3-1. Sam Parkin scored an incredibly good goal with his feet, quick feet, and lapped on a defender's error, and he sold 2 defenders a dummy, and then just calmly started past the keeper. It's like, Super Sammy, quality, so good back in the day. So he's in, Super Sammy Parkin, and the other one's Jan the Man Fjordhoff, the other striker. And that's my squad of 8 for my 6-a-side team. Beast.
Who would like to go next, Craig or Christian?
Yeah, are we not allowed to rip Ben's team to bits first?
You rip my team to bits.
If you
Christian,
want to rip the team to bits first, that's fine.
Crack on with my team,
Don't
mate.
take the fun aspect out of it, mate.
Take the fun
Do you know
out.
what? Actually, it's quite scary. Our teams are quite similar, Ben, believe it or not, in a couple of ways, 2 or 3 ways.
We watch games so much differently, Christian, and we do watch our games so much differently. We do know a good Swindon team. And we've seen a lot of good Swindon players.
Yeah.
Craig, did you have anything to say about Ben's team?
No, not really. I realised I had a bit of a panic, so I realised I wrote a player twice on my 8 somehow. So I've been trying to quickly, while he was doing this, I realised, oh shit, I better put another one in. I didn't have any backups, so yeah. Sorry. I'm sure it was. I heard Mark Walters. Mark Walters is a good shout, definitely. And Fjordhoft, of course, as well.
Fjordhoft, yeah, quality player. Top draw players, top level.
Yeah.
Well, go on then, Craig. Tell us your 8 next then.
Well, Steve Mildenhall, because obviously, he's still good enough to be on the bench for us a few times this season. Goalkeeper coach, so I'd imagine he's still technically good as a goalkeeper.
I would have loved him to get minutes this season. I'd have loved it.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic. And also, I love the guy because of the way he stuck around. And he kept things going behind the scenes when things weren't going too well. Yeah. So yeah. Sam Parkin, same as Ben. I just love that guy. He can obviously score goals.
Sure.
Like I said, I'd have had 7 strikers. So, but another one that I definitely had to have in was Fjordhoft as well. What he did for us towards the end of the Premiership. It's just a shame he didn't get that fucking, sort of early on, but there we go. That's all history. Then I've got Steve Robinson, Turbo. So I imagine he just run around like a fucking Duracell bunny. You
deserves a statue of that win at Oxford 2-0. He deserves to.
Yeah. I mean, you see, like I said, the last time I watched the Masters, you look at them and they look red in the face. And I mean, I hope that Turbo's kept himself fit, but yeah, you can imagine him running around like a blue ass fly. So
yeah, I loved him.
Yeah. Nicky Summerby as well.
Buzzer.
Quite one about another Swindon great. Alan McCormack. because of the positions. He could pretty much play anywhere in a first 11. So I'd imagine he transitioned quite well.
Underrated player.
He is a player who I wrote down in my long list before picking my 8.
Yeah, quite versatile. I think he'd settle into a 6-a-side team. Because I haven't got many defenders, I thought I better put a defender in, and I've gone for Andy Gurney, just because I'd love him to go through someone's legs, like like he did for us, like 10 plus yellow cards a season when we had him in our team. So plus I felt he was a bit harshly treated, like Ben was saying, from some of our fans when he did play for us. So yeah, Steve, I think I've got one more, Kevin Horlock. Yeah, and he was a class player as well. So yeah, that's my 8.
Well, I very much enjoyed listening to your musings there. Ben's pretty much nodded along to everything you've said. Well, I'm not sure if you were also paying attention to what was on the screen. Christian was pulling some interesting faces at some of the names. What do you want to go in on it first, Christian?
Can't even remember which ones I was doing it to. I think Alan McCormack was one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And didn't think much of him. Didn't think much of Gurney. They might be different in 6-a-side. Don't get me wrong, but they wouldn't have been in my choices. You've both picked Fjortoft, and I think although he's my favourite striker of all time, would I want him in a 6-a-side team? I don't think so.
I still thought they were good feet, wasn't he?
No, not really. He's big and powerful, mate.
He was big boned, gangling, powerful, but he had feet as well. He had good feet as well. That's why he was top draw. He could do it.
Well, wait till you see my strikers. I've picked a team to win the tournament, not one that born on nostalgia, guys. I've actually picked a team that would win this tournament.
Well, you are the 6-a-side king, ain't you? You know 6-a-side quite well, Christian. So you've probably got a better insight than us.
10 and 11, yeah. I just know football.
Go on then, tell us your squad then, Christian.
Well, listen, in goal you got Frank Talia. Great shot stopper, good distribution. That is important. Good distribution. I was waiting for somebody to say Vigouroux or something, and he'd just throw it to the first striker. He's rubbish. So I got Talia in goal.
Okay.
I also have Ian Culverhouse at the back with Gordon Greer.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good shout.
Hey, didn't see that one coming, did you, lads? Bit of culture at the back there.
Greer and Calderwood, the same thing, by the way. Greer and Calderwood.
Not really. There's about 12 years in it. So
yeah, they're the same sort of player, weren't they? Calderwood and Greer. I'd love to see them face off each other.
God, in midfield, I'm gonna have to. We've gone so similar, guys. One I've put in that's different. I've put Scott Leach in there as a spoiler.
I nearly put him in. Yeah,
your legs off Scott Leach.
No, you didn't. Sorry. So I've got Scott Leach in there. I put him in there with Moncur and Mark Walters. However, because I wasn't sure about the age of Walters. We know he fits now, but because you've both picked Walters, I'm going to sub him out.
I did,
and I'm going to put Sammy Igo in there as a sort of a younger sort of that sort of player, but not obviously at the level of Walters.
PNM version.
Him in there with Leach and Moncur. And my strikers. This is where I do all of you, because you've all gone for nostalgia, and I've gone, I've gone to win this tournament. My 2 strikers, one of them was abysmal at Swindon, but I tell you what, I know he would nail this tournament. My 2 strikers, Jamie Curitan.
I knew you were going to say Jamie Curitan as soon as you said that. If anyone picked it up, I just mouthed Jamie Curitan as he was saying it.
Jamie Curitan, Tony Thorpe, strike partnership.
Jamie Curitan and Nicky Ajose.
Jose's only 30 years old.
Oh, fuck.
I said that because I had a Jose specifically for that reason as well.
Well, I did have Cox. I originally scrubbed Cox out. So.
Stick Fjortoft in. Go on. Stick Fjortoft in.
I'm not putting Fjortoft in there. How old's Charlie Austin? No,
he's not 35.
He's 32. I do believe he was born the same year as me, so he'll be 32.
Where's Thomas? Where's Thomas?
Where's Thomas? Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You'd be better off putting me up front.
Or
Saying
Pericard.
John Abika.
Pericard, yes, get Pericard in there.
Yeah, you go in goal, Fifey.
John Abika. Royce Brownlee. Blair Sturrock.
No.
Must admit, I was looking at how old Brett Pittman was, and I was going to stick him in goal.
Stick the pie eater in goal.
I think, to be fair, Christian, you've picked largely a very good squad, but given the big build-up for the strikers, do they completely fuck it up by putting a Jose in there?
I think, to be fair, Curitan is a good. That's a fantastic.
He was good. He's probably still playing now, Curitan.
Yeah.
He's still knocking about.
I think did he not finally hang up his boots after about 20-something consecutive seasons at clubs?
Yeah, he was like playing like 8th tier or something ridiculous like that, but he was still going, wasn't he, until recently?
Was.
I'm going to stick Chris Hay in for the one, please.
Chris Hay, good half season, Chris Hay.
So you get a couple of good Masters games out of him then on that record.
That's shit. If you're going to put Chris Hay in, you've got to put Wayne Allison in with him. He was rubbish without Allison. Once Allison went, that was it.
It's true. He had a good half season, Chris Hay. He was best. He was bee's knees half season and then just died off.
Yeah,
I bet McMahon would be quite good in that sort of in a sixer side as well.
McMahon probably would be actually. Yeah.
Do you want to quickly sub him in?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I've got Scott Leach in there, mate.
Okay, fine.
He'd be over 60 now, wouldn't he? McMahon.
We're close to that. He's on Twitter now, you know, McMahon.
Bizarre segue. Well, obviously, I can't go as far back as you guys did for pool of players. So I'm fully preparing for my squad of 8 to get absolutely massacred by you three. I've gone for David Lucas in goal.
He got going.
What laugh was that?
Christian's seen a ghost
in your room with you, in bed with you, Christian.
I've gone for 2 defenders. I've gone Gordon Greer as well. And then I had such a list of who I was going to potentially put next to him, and in the end, I went for someone who wasn't on my original list, and I went Jay McEverley. Oh God, Christian's already waiting to get involved. I've only done 3 players.
He got
No,
dodgy knees, doesn't he?
no, I think McEverley's not. No, I don't think McEverley's a bad shout.
I've gone Migliuranzi, Roberts, and McGovern as 3 midfielders.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm going to give massive again. Yeah, that's right.
And then I've gone similar to Ned. I went Connell as a striker. And then I was struggling to think of someone else as a striker. So I went just a bit more physical and went Fallon as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about Fallon. And yeah.
And the only reason is because I had a Jose, Austin, Cox, and none of them were old enough. So I was like, God, who's going to play there?
I was going to put Grant in mine, but he's just a year short, isn't he?
So that's my 8: Lucas, Greer, McEverley, McGovern, Roberts, Migliuranzi, Fallon, and Connell. But by all means, who wants to go first?
Well, imagine Migliuranzi would be good because technically, he wasn't fit half the time, but technically he was decent, wasn't he?
He was the first. I loved him.
He was the first player that I ever watched for Swindon and went, wow.
Yeah.
That first season I started going was probably, was it his last one possibly? And I just remember thinking he seemed to be so much better on the ball than anybody else.
Yeah, he was quality. He could have easily, well, he did went to New York, didn't he? Played with Dave Beckham for a while at Red Bull.
No, he was never at Red Bull.
New York Red Bull's what they're called.
Galaxy.
Galaxy, that's the one. It's American Tim Pop.
But yeah, so that's my 8. If anyone does have anything other than wants to wax lyrical about Migliuranzi.
No, mate, do you know what? There's some good players there. You know, he did all right. I did like that.
Yeah.
Keeper's a bit
No.
dodgy, but apart from that's all good.
I mean, Christian made a noise just at the goalkeeper, and he's been kind of pulling a face and remaining quiet since. So maybe I should let him have his say before we move on.
Well, Lucas, it was one of the most overrated goalkeepers I've ever seen at Swindon. He just dived over everything. He was bloody using. But actually,
Yeah, but the goals in six-a-side are a lot smaller.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So let's just flip that on its head then, Steve, as you say. Let's flip that on its. The goals are much smaller. So you've got a player, John Paul McGovern, who used to just twat every single free kick over onto the Stratton Bank. So how's he going to cope with playing in smaller goals?
I used to like McGovern.
He doesn't need to hit it as hard.
I don't doubt that, Ben. I don't doubt that for 1 minute.
Do you know what? I think you're right. He wasn't a 9 out of 10 on point delivery, but he was a decent technician of a football at the level we were playing at the time.
He was a good player.
Right, okay. I'm going to swap out Moncur, by the way, for Philip Cuevo.
Philip Cuevo, but he was injured all the time. I did like Cuevo, but yeah, skillful, but injured.
Again, some of the other names I had on the list when I ultimately went for McGovern was McNamee and Zabu and people like that. I thought I'll stick with McGovern.
Me. You're David Duke territory, McNamee.
You think McGovern had inconsistent delivery?
McNamee could not cross to save us. All these step overs, all these skills cut to the byline and put it over the bar for a goal kick. But
I think Bowden would be a good one to have in your squad as well, but I just wouldn't know where to put him, purely because he can score goals as well as defend and play a midfield role. So Bowden would have probably
both Bowdens would potentially be good, but I think one's still too young.
Who?
No, he's not.
You're on about Billy, aren't you?
Well, thank you for submitting your teams, and we'll open it up. We're going to put a little graphic out with these teams and some of the other ones that were submitted to get the thoughts of the fans. And if anyone wants to send theirs in for review, we will happily do so. Again, with Woody not being here, he has sent in a little bit of an overview of what's happened for the women's teams this past week, which I will just load up now to read out. He sends his apologies for not making it, but he said the first team beat Larkhall 3-2 on Thursday night, and despite losing on Sunday to Exeter, they're now 1 point away from ensuring not being relegated. They don't, however, now have a game until the 17th. Development had a good 4-1 win over Frome, keeping them top of the league, and they have Keynsham reserves on Sunday. And then there was also the news that first team manager Jamie Davies announced he was stepping down at the end of the season to take up a technical director role in Sweden, and he had lots of messages of congratulations and good luck, which we'd obviously like to echo as well. All the best for his future, and interesting to see what happens with the women's team from next year. Let's talk Bradford then, guys. We kind of already touched on it, but Christian, I'll come to you first for this one. How difficult a game are you expecting, and are you confident of picking up a win?
Oh, I can't keep changing my mind on this one. I think it could be difficult. I just don't know what effect Mark Hughes is going to have. We've had this conversation, didn't we? And I think we all came to the conclusion that it could be a hit or miss. It could go either way. And I feel that way about the game really against Bradford. I think we could win 2-0. I think we could win 2-0. Purely again, it's really weird saying this, but because it's at their place, I wouldn't fancy us at home. I think teams that come to Swindon and really try and get something tend to get something, and teams that like Walsall did after they conceded, they don't. So I think Bradford would come to Swindon, try and get something, and probably nick something in about the 73rd minute. Swindon at Bradford, they'll have the expectation, they'll have the crowd there. Maybe the players are going to be a little bit worried, concerned. Yeah, I think we can win that 2-0. We might have just caught them at the right time.
Okay,
But
great.
I expect they'll get better.
Yeah, I mean, before they changed their manager, I would have said the same as Christian, mainly because of us being away and out of the run of games we got. They looked like the team that was out of form and, struggling. They're closer to the relegation places than they are the playoffs. I think Mark Hughes' appointment, so he's on a 2.5-year deal. I did my research before coming on here because we thought we might be having another guest on. So I might be showing a bit more knowledge than what I normally would have. But yeah, they're closer to the relegation places in the playoffs. They're about 12 points off the playoffs. So I don't think they're, regardless of what Mark Hughes does, that they're going to get into the playoffs. But obviously he's a long-term sign-in. I think we're hitting them at the wrong time. It's just that new manager bounce. I don't think Mark Hughes is a good manager for this division. Looking at his record in the Premiership, it actually wasn't that bad. I just thought he was a journeyman manager who went from club to club. But more often than not, when he was in the Premiership, he finished in the top half, like ninth and sixth, those sorts of positions for Blackburn and Stoke. And he was a good manager at one point, but he just seems to have been in decline. And I think, does he know League Two? Not really, does he? I'd be very surprised if it will work for him. But it just shows the pull that Bradford have got to be able to make such a marquee sign-in. So I think with that and with the boost for the team, because they were on a dreadful run. I think they've lost like 4 games in a row. And under Adams, their win percentage was only 20% under him. So I think if we get a draw off of them, I'll be happy with that. But I have a feeling that they're going to beat us 2-1.
Okay. Christian seems a bit uneasy with the saying, I'd be happy with a draw.
Yeah, it's a bit Luke Williams, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
Ben?
Oh,
sorry, Christian.
No, go on.
No, finish your point.
No, because I'll swear.
Ben, your thoughts on the game?
When has that ever stopped you before?
There's a little bit of anxiety because they've got the new manager there. I think also, depending on the fitness of McCurdy and Barry, both looked quite injured when they went off because both tried to carry on and both sat down and went, this is worse than before going off. How much training have they had this week? I know McCurdy was in the game on the other day, but how much training? Are they really that fit? What effect has it had with Davison? We'll probably find this out on Friday, but we really did get battered by Salford and our players, and we have been flogged because they played a lot of games. We needed the week off. So if we have got, a less strength side, I think we could come unstuck. Full strength, playing well, I think we can beat them. But I'm going for 1-1.
Okay. I equally going into it, I'm expecting a score draw. However, I'm less concerned about the new manager bounce. If I'm honest, I think it appears an inspiring appointment because he is a name that people will recognise, both as a player and a manager. I think Craig makes a good point. How well does he know League Two standard, League Two players? Yes, there will be a certain level of, he'll be able, when there's a transfer window, for example, he might be able to pull in slightly bigger names or get the odd favour here and there because of his connection. But I'm not that worried about new manager bounce for this one. I just think a score draw is the most likely outcome. But we are more than capable of going there and winning. Let's not be defeatist about this. A lot of what seemed to have been said there was with a slightly passive or borderline negative tone. No, we are more than capable of going to Bradford and winning. There's no illusion of that.
More than capable to go to any club and win 5-3, but it's Swindon, isn't it? Christian's been saying about our away form that's carried us through so far. Well, that's kind of tailed off now, so that's why I'm a bit more pessimistic with us away from home.
That's completely right. And I mean, like I said, we all sat here this time last week, said that Walsall would be the tougher game of the two. We all backed Swindon to beat Walsall, but just. and we said that, I think half of us said we would beat Salford, the other half said we would draw, and evidently no one said we would lose to Salford, and we did.
Swindon, isn't it?
That's why it's that's the pessimist. That's where the pessimism comes from.
That's where it comes from. It's Swindon. You know, you come from 3 good results, top of the world, but you know, shit is just round the corner.
Although, mind you, they got a good chance of winning, because I'm not going to watch the game. So it's 5 games this season, no wins. So yeah, I think it could be. Then I might change it. I might have to change my prediction.
Before we conclude for the evening, gents, let's go into any other business / mailbag. One line out of the club today, I think it was regarding what's going to happen with the money raised for Joe. They've still not been able to track him down, essentially, make contact. So they've said that they're going to split the money raised 50-50. If I've got this right, 50% going to a local food bank charity, the other 50% going to Foundation Park. And they have said that if they do in the future manage to make contact, then there are certain things there ready for him and his family to come to Swindon, meet Harry McCurdy, etc. Ben, I'll start with you. What your thoughts on the announcement today?
Oh, wonderful. Make you proud to be a fan hearing the news. That what it is turning out to be, and I hope Joe's real, but it sounds like to be a prank. Some real good things came out of it, because there's some kids in a similar sort of position as Joe will get their day of their life where they'll go and train with the players, and they'll meet the players, and they'll go to a game and be a mascot, and beyond their wildest of dreams, when there's kids like having like 1 meal a day, and you know, sandwiches and crisps, and that's their 1 meal and that sort of thing, and shoes that don't fit at school, and that horrible sort of things that are very real and realistic in life at the minute.
And something that obviously the 4 of us would feel strongly as we are all parents here. We all have kids.
So Sarah watched it, and she went, it's the first time that I actually liked Swindon, when and that moved that she didn't think they're so I was quite proud of that. I think that's a good move, and the rest, and some money's going towards food bank, which is going to help feed these kids.
Christian,
so,
I saw
well
you
done, Swindon. Good move.
I saw you actually commented either on the Facebook or the Twitter post of that statement, and you said it was the right thing to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a perfect conclusion, really. They've done exactly the right thing, you know. If it was Lee Power, he'd have probably just painted the Junior Reds room and spent the other £9,990 put it in his Swiss bank account. So it's good to see the club doing something, you know, really, really good, and they've made totally the right decision, because I mean, it's brilliant that everybody raised that much money. I don't think that's what the little boy needed, really, was 10 grand. So it's there, and it's being used for a greater good, really. You know, and the club have said, I mean, the club have been, if anything, overly generous with what they've offered. If they do find this Joe lads, you know, it was a season ticket for 2 years, mascot, meet Harry McCurdy, full hospitality and everything. Fantastic gesture, which you know they don't need to do, but well done. It all's well that ends well, I guess. Well, you know, to a point. Obviously, we don't want this to be a real story, do we? But
no, and that's the big thing, isn't it, Craig? Whether that there is talk about the legitimacy of it, but Christian's right. It's great that as fans that we managed to pull together to raise this money, and it's just important that for those who are in that situation, that the help is there.
Yeah, of course. You know, I echo what Ben and Christian just said there. I think as well, it's good for football as well. We hear about these things, these appeals, whether it's for someone in Joe's situation, if he is real, but in other situations as well, when it's been raising money for kids with, you know, terminal illnesses and things like that, the Stephen Darby Foundation as well, and things like that. It just shows the power of football and the generosity of football fans, and I think generally it shows football fans get a bad rep. We're treated, I'm getting on my sort of political football high horse at the moment, but football fans are treated differently to any other sports fan in the country. When we go away and stuff like that, we're treated almost like criminals. There's laws that only target football fans, not other fans and things like that. And it seems to be like it's always negative. The fans after
that age old. Is it football is a game for gentlemen played by thugs? Rugby is a game for thugs played by gentlemen.
Yeah, that sort of thing. There's an unfair stereotype when it comes towards football fans, but I think something like this, not just for Swindon fans, but for football fans in general, is really shown what the power of football and the good in people as football fans.
And certainly at Swindon, as a fan base, we've done it a few times. I mean, just another couple of times, when we all raised money for the disabled supporters, so they get blankets. We did that a couple of years ago. Tommy Martin, I'm sure he won't mind saying, we got him a season ticket when he was ill in hospital and everything.
Yeah. So
it's worth saying for anyone that's listening that, if they are genuinely struggling with anything, just really reach out to the rest of us, as, we're all one family at Swindon, even when we argue all the time and hate each other, we're still one team, aren't we? So we all look after each other.
No, absolutely. Completely echo what you've all said there. One final point, and it's his now weekly question. We might as well give Oaks Road his own segment, because I do thank him for his time, because he always sends in, not only does he make a point of sending in at least one question a week, but they're always genuine and valid questions that I like hearing your input on, and they do generally force a discussion
on the show.
And
they're good questions.
He's been invited, Ben, and yes, they are. I completely agree. This time, it's something that I have seen discussed on other outlets as well, so I'm interested in your guys' opinions, and it reads, what is the reason for the poor atmosphere at the county ground, and what can be done to improve it? With 10k plus crowds, it should be rocking, especially, this was before the Salford game, especially with the previous 3 results. So, Craig, I'll come to you first. In your opinion, is the atmosphere at the CG not what you'd expect for 10k plus, and what can be done to improve it?
I think it's not about the amount of people who are in the ground. It's just generally, Swindon fans at home. It's never. I don't think I could ever describe the county ground as rocking unless it's like a fierce derby or something like that. Really, I've never known it to be. I don't know why. I can't put a finger on it. I was in the Arkle stand on Saturday with my kids, and and it was, even the town end didn't sound too enthusiastic. I don't know. I don't know. I can't really put a finger on it, but I don't think the amount of fans is the reason. I think just generally we're not the most vociferous, and we don't really generate that sort of atmosphere. It's only sort of away, but I think that's the same for most clubs. You seem to get a better atmosphere away from home. More people are singing, I guess, because you're more compact and together and stuff like that. There's nothing I love more than to stand up singing Swindon songs and everything, and belting my heart out. But I don't want to do it in the North Stand and be the only sod that's bloody stood up doing it, and nobody else is. So yeah, I don't know. That is a difficult one to know what to do in the long term. The club is trying. Don't get me wrong. When at the beginning of the season they asked us what music we should have at halftime and pre-game and stuff like that to sort of try and generate the atmosphere. And yeah, I honestly don't know. That's $1 million question. So I think I'd love to be able to go to the county ground and for it to be rocking, as Oakus Road says, but I don't. It's more often than not that hasn't been the case in the 30 plus years I've been supporting the club. Christian?
Well, I don't think we've. What I don't think we factored into this sort of argument, this discussion, really, is the mood of the world and the country at the moment, where a lot of people have had in the last couple of years, a lot of a lot of shit happened to them. Really, they've lost family through COVID and everything. Some people have lost their jobs. It's not an amazing sort of country culture to be in at the moment. You know, you're seeing the return massively now of football hooliganism and people thinking they can just walk on the pitch whenever they like, that sort of thing. And it's filtered down into non-league. I don't think there is much to get excited about at the moment. I think there's a lot of unhappiness out there, depression out there. Yeah, we go and watch football, we go and watch it for our escape, but are we really getting excited? Are we really getting excited about a team that's gone up, gone down, gone up, gone down, and it's just sat sort of in the above mid-table, just below the playoffs in League Two? What I think you'll find is as the season goes on, where are we now? We're at the beginning of March, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When there's about 4 or 5 games left, I think, and we're at home and we need X amount of points to reach the playoffs, and the games really matter, I think the volume will go up a notch or two. But at the moment, it's a little bit, here we are, we're sat 8th, 9th in League Two. The world's not a wonderful place. It's a bit shit. We're not going to all sing and have a jolly, really, are we? And I think it's a mood that's reflected across the country. And then, you know, you could go off on another tangent about the town end and the acoustics, which are abysmal. But, you know, we've been having that discussion for 30 years. But everyone moved into the Intel stand or Don Rogers stand. They were in there for a while. You know, the best place I think for acoustics in the ground, we covered it with where we talk about standing, terracing, safe terracing, is the front of the Arkle stand, really. That's where the sound moves best in the whole ground. But yeah, that's my 2 pennies worth.
Ben?
I think it's an excellent question and something you give a little bit of think about. And because all of us are of a certain age, we all remember football.
Don't tarnish me with your brush.
Well, I think even you remember back in the day, pre-match, before the game, you know, you used to lose your voice most games.
Yeah.
And about 8 of the players had their own song.
Yeah.
8 of them, loads all had their own song. Whether it was some basic like Culverhouse, but everyone had their own song.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's McCurdy. That's it. No one's. We don't think. Maybe it's because the amount of loans that we've got, players come and going all the time. There's no.
I don't agree with that. I think loan players will if loan players are good enough, they'll get adopted songs. That's not.
We don't. There used to be, you know, the pre-match from about 2:30, 20 to 2. The noise used to start in the town. We used to start singing away from home. It's not so bad. But, you know, we used to sing the players' names, and I used to remember that. And we used to have lots of different types of songs as well. There are songs that we got now, Ali Aliel, which is very average. And, you know, Come On You Reds. And when the Reds go steaming in. But they used to be like clever, funny, witty songs. We've not heard them really since Paolo days. You remember, there was a couple of lads who used to sit at the back of the town end and used to like the Rafa DeVita song and I Want to Dance with Chibocchi and stuff like that. But we've not had that for so long, and it's stale. And yeah, it's a really, really good point because it's sort of sleepwalk. Maybe it's the Lee Power that it's had, but it's been dead for a while. It does need a lift because and it probably coincides with the poor home form that we've been over the years. It's because it's been stale.
Yeah, possibly. So, I mean, the 2 main points you've said there, Ben, is a fan-based issue in terms of, as a fan base, we need to be more creative, potentially in terms of chanting and stuff, and a squad-based problem in terms of you're suggesting if form was better and more consistent for a longer period of time at home, fans would be more excited about being there.
It may be a catch. Is it catch 22 or catch 66, where one needs to get the other to pick up? Maybe the fans need a hero, like they have got McCurdy, to really get singing about. It goes out from Christians off, but needs to be singing about. But the players need the fans to get going. I don't know. But
I've got another theory.
Go on.
I've got another theory, Ben, and Ben and Craig, you'll both remember this. You know, when the the Shrivenham Road, as it was open, and the Stratton Bank was terracing, you had to get in the ground quite early, didn't you? So if you remember when we were our age, when we were teenagers, I can always remember being in the ground on the terracing when the players were coming out to warm up. And that's when there's only one Mickey has.
Yeah,
one,
when they used to go one used to run out with a ball.
It all started about 2 because people wanted to get their place on the terracing, so they had to be in the ground early. They don't now. So what you get now is everybody rolls out the County Ground Hotel at 2 to 3 and into the ground, and it's like you walk into something cold, so there's no atmosphere there because it's not built up pre-match.
That's a great point, because even on Saturday, about 10 to bloody 3, the ground's half empty. It's mostly empty at about 10 to 3, and then it all just fills up at once.
Okay, so now we're on a wider discussion. So what can the club do to entice people in earlier? Because the thing is, and it more so from you three, I mean, I understand it, because I agree. When I started going at age 14, 15, whatever it was when I started going, I was the same, that the build-up, that sort of from 2:30-ish, you would start to really feel it ramp up ready for 3 o'clock. But you guys obviously did it for a longer period of time. But we're saying the generation now that we're used to that, i.e. you guys, are now older, and it's kind of that same generation are the majority of the ones who are probably in the pub at 2 to 3 and then rocking in.
Yeah. I think Christian's made a really good point, because I don't think it's a coincidence, or I'm in danger of putting my the good old days hat on, but I think it's more than a coincidence that that the atmosphere started to decline once we started getting an all-seater stadium. The town end used to be standing at one point as well. I grew up on the Stratton Bank standing, going there, and Christian was right. We used to get there early, and the atmosphere was generated. So I think what the club could do is, once they're able to, because this is down to government legislation, is to bring in safe standing, and I think that could make a difference, whether that's with a redeveloped town end, or, as Christian said, the front part of the Arkle stand. I think bringing in a portion where you can have safe standing would help generate more of an atmosphere. I think that's a really good point from Christian.
Now, a couple of things sorry, Christian.
Even if if you compare it with, if you go to a concert, if you go to a gig, guys, you've got tickets for a gig, and you know that you've got standing tickets, you're in there early, aren't you? You've got to go in there early because you want to be near the front of the stage, or where you want to be. And that is the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as entertainment's concerned, to get the people into the ground, I don't know. And also, we have to look at people nowadays as well. It's another thing I've just thought of is we've got smartphones, so a lot of the time people are on their phones pre-match, putting bets on probably as well. Whereas before they get to the ground, they're checking team news online and everything else, and messaging their friends and stuff like that. So I think that's probably, in a way, that's probably contributed to a lack of atmosphere, certainly pre-game.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It'd have to be something like where they have like a 10-15 minute window where kids can get photos with the players and stuff if they're in at 2:20 or something. I don't know. It'd have to be something like, because you couldn't even do, I've said before, when we were talking about, when we had the queues at the turnstiles, we were talking about getting people in, and I think I said something like, oh yeah, do a pie and a pint for £6 or something like that to get people in. That's fine, but then you're only getting them in the concourses and the bars, you're not getting them in the stands, so that's not going to help the atmosphere. So you'd have to do something out there to get, like they give the pizzas away at half time. You've got to do something before the game to get them in early enough. I think it's a bit of a losing battle, to be honest. I don't think there's anything out there they can do.
But they've done one of the things is they put a bar on a town end, and that's going to help. But that bar needs to open 2 o'clock.
What time did it open on Saturday?
I don't know. It was as walked by. The bit where you go out.
Yeah, I walked past it.
It was there.
I think it did open at 2 o'clock, but maybe even like 1 o'clock or something like that.
If that get that open early, that help, because like lubrication does help.
I think that's going to, like Christian said, it's a hard one, isn't it? And it's going to require some radical thinking, some thinking outside the box to sort of solve that problem, I think. But I think
we've certainly got the team there in terms of behind the scenes to do that sort of blue sky thinking. Not directly responsible for some of the points you've made, but there are certain things that I pick up on because, as I admit, I don't go as much as I'd like to anymore, sadly, but I do pick up from you guys when we're chatting and from other people on socials. So one of the things you mentioned, like acoustics and stands and stuff, and I know this isn't to do with acoustics, but there are certain gripes that the fans have that I think potentially play a little bit of a part. So it's like the Tannoy thing, the Dom. I went in there once, did my head in, like just the constant click. It was annoying. I don't know how anyone copes with that for 20 whatever it is games, 23 games plus cup games a season. That would drive me nuts. And then you mentioned about how it was with terracing and stuff, and I appreciate we're not yet back to that, and we're not currently officially doing that. But if I think back to when I first started going in the town end, yes, it's all seater, but everyone was all stood for 90 minutes. And now we're seeing more and more things like, why are the stewards only now telling us, I've been going 10 years, why are they now telling us to sit down? Now, I know they've got a job to do, but if people aren't being stupid, it's lasted this long without any issues. Why are they suddenly now putting their foot down on this sort of thing?
I think maybe it's the stewards just covering themselves just in case an accident happens. Maybe it's a health and safety thing. They could say, well, we did try, we did say.
Because linking into the point about fans being creative, I remember you would get to know quite a few of the stewards because they were always positioned in the same place. Even stewards were getting songs at one point.
Yeah, that's a problem at every single ground. I think every single seater ground in the country, Fifey. Like I say, they stand up in the town end predominantly anyway. Why would it be an issue? But maybe I'm not playing devil's advocate here, but maybe the stewards are just doing it. They've been told, look, we got to make it look as if we're making an effort to get these people. If they don't, then that's fine. We can, if an accident did happen, then they could turn around and say we've tried to.
Yeah, I completely get it. I know they're only doing their job and there are rules in place, but the point stands. There's never been, as far as I'm aware, especially in my time in there was never any issues as such. So why is it all of a sudden now? Or are we looking too much the other way? It's that sort of blame culture, cancel culture, complain about everything culture in the world that it's just now more people are complaining about it and it's being seen. It was always happening. It's just go back 10 years. No one was that fussed. Now there's a different generation of fan in there and they're all just complaining about it.
I remember a steward in the town end, we used to call her Pat Butcher, used to go around going, sit down, and everyone just ignored her. They used to hand out flyers going, if you don't sit down or lose it in the town, and everyone just ignored it. So they have been trying to get people to sit down and they stopped and then they started again. But
every so often you'll get a focus due to a police or a council visit. And this is what would have happened. It happened probably in about 2010, I think. It's happened before when they'll do a safety check or something and they'll highlight that there's people standing here and it's against Football League regulations, blah, blah, blah. So the club for 2 or 3 months will go on a big get everyone sitting down sort of thingy, and then it'll just drift off again. That's what will have happened. They'll have had a visit, a health and safety inspection, and it will have been noted, yes, there's supporters standing up, and the club would have had a bit of a warning about it, and then they'll go on a 2-month sort of cycle of being OTT about it.
I think the club have to show that they're doing something either via the stewards, because that could affect. I mean, I don't know if this is the case for sure, because I don't know how it works, but each club has a safety certificate, doesn't it, to have games shown at the ground. So I think that's to do with the local council. I'm not 100% sure. So maybe they've been threatened and saying, look, you could lose your safety certificate. you've got to make it look, you've got to make an effort to show that you're doing something about these people standing up. So it's probably something to do with that, I'd imagine. But we're not unique in that. Every club in the country has it. And until they bring in safe standing, this is going to go through cycles. It'll come up again probably in a couple of seasons where they'll have a clamp down and people will complain, and then it will just go back to how it was.
But it's certainly an interesting discussion point. So if you would like to send us in your STFC Masters football squads, or you have any opinions on the atmosphere currently at the county ground, either do you think it's decent and we're being harsh, or you have suggestions on how to improve it, fire them through to us on Facebook and Twitter, and we will certainly get back to you with our thoughts on your opinions, and vice versa. Please let us know what you think to ours.
But great question by Oakus Road, by the way. Thanks.
Yeah, that was good debate. That was a good one.
Really good. Yeah,
because it's valid, very valid.
Absolutely. That brings this week's episode to a close. So I'd just like to say thank you very much to tonight's panel. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Craig. I'll let you go now, and I'm sure if you've not already, then before you all head off to bed, you've got some pancakes to enjoy. So from me and the rest of the panel for this week, it's goodbye.
Yeah.